Have you ever stood in your kitchen trying to open a jar and suddenly felt like your own strength had quietly packed its bags and left the building? Or paused halfway down the stairs because your knee whispered a warning you didn't expect? Maybe you've caught yourself hesitating to accept an invitation, not because you didn't want to go, but because the idea of getting dressed, finding your keys, and driving across town just felt heavy. If any of that sounds familiar, you're not alone. And no, it doesn't mean you're broken or past your prime. It simply means life is nudging you to pay attention. Because staying independent isn't just about driving yourself to the store or remembering where you put your reading glasses. It's about keeping your freedom. The kind of freedom that lets you say yes to the things that still matter. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. This video is for anyone who's ever feared losing their footing, literally or figuratively. We're going to gently walk through 5 early warning signs that your independence might be slipping. And most importantly, what you can do to hold on to it, reclaim it, and even strengthen it. Because yes, there are simple, powerful shifts you can make that protect your confidence, your energy, and your ability to do what you love on your own terms. Before we dive in, I want to quickly say thank you. Every time you like a video, subscribe to the channel, or leave a comment. You're helping build a place where older adults feel seen, strong, and supported. If you haven't already, go ahead and tap that subscribe button and click the bell so you never miss one of the life-changing health and lifestyle tips we share every single week. It means more than you know. And if anything you hear today rings true, share it with someone you care about. We never know whose day we might brighten just by passing on a little wisdom. All right, let's start with something many people overlook, even though it's right at their fingertips. Literally, one early sign that your independence might be in trouble is this: you stop reaching. That could mean reaching overhead to get something from a cabinet, reaching down to pick up the newspaper, even reaching out to someone to ask for help or say hello. The act of reaching is both physical and emotional, and when it starts to shrink, our world shrinks with it. Let's talk about the physical part first. If you notice you're avoiding tasks that involve lifting your arms above your shoulders, or that you find yourself skipping things you used to do easily, like hanging clothes or gardening, it might not be just stiffness. It could be a subtle drop in flexibility and strength. And when we stop using certain muscles, they quietly give up on us. That's why it matters to keep reaching, even in small ways. Stretching every morning while the kettle boils, doing shoulder circles while brushing your teeth, picking up that dropped sock instead of waiting for someone else to do it. It adds up, but there's more. Emotionally, stopping yourself from reaching out to friends, to neighbors, even to family can signal something deeper. Maybe fear of being a burden, or maybe you've been burned before. But isolation has a sneaky way of turning independence into invisibility. We think we're protecting our pride, when really, we're building a wall we never meant to stay behind. So, here's your gentle reminder. Keep reaching, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Keep opening jars and doors and conversations. It's one of the quietest, strongest acts of independence there is. Let's stay with that idea of small daily moments, because the next sign tends to show up not all at once, but in the slow fade of something we once had in spades. Energy, not the kind you get from a cup of coffee or a good night's sleep, though those help too, but the deeper kind. The spark that used to get you out the door without overthinking it. The drive that made your to-do list feel exciting instead of exhausting. When that energy starts to slip, it's easy to chalk it up to age. But the truth is, a lot of that slowdown is optional. Let me explain. One of the warning signs that your independence might be at risk is when you stop moving without a reason. Not just walking less, but avoiding motion altogether. You stop walking around the block because the couch feels safer. You delay trips to the store because you're not in the mood. You linger too long in one chair, one room. It doesn't always feel like a decision, but it is. And those little decisions matter. See, your body craves movement. Every joint, every muscle, every breath thrives on circulation. The less we move, the less our body wants to move. And over time, the effort to get moving feels bigger than it really is. That's how independence slips through our fingers. Not in dramatic falls or hospital stays, but in quiet, couch-bound afternoons where we choose comfort over capability. But here's the empowering part: you can flip the script. Gently. Start by asking yourself one question every morning. Where? Can I move today? Not in some dramatic way, not with gym shoes and sweatbands and loud music, just movement that fits into your life. A gentle walk to the mailbox, marching in place during a commercial break, stretching while folding laundry. The goal isn't to be busy, it's to stay in motion. To remind your body that it still knows how to carry you. And while we're talking about carrying, let's not ignore what's often sitting right on your shoulders. The weight of too many decisions, too much noise, and too little space for joy. Which brings us to another quiet signal that your independence is slipping. You stop choosing for yourself. Maybe it's Sudelu. Let someone else pick the restaurant, handle the paperwork, decide the schedule. Or maybe you find yourself not caring as much. Whatever works becomes your default phrase. And at first, it feels like you're being easygoing. But over time, it becomes something else. A slow handing over of your voice, your preferences, your agency. The truth is, part of staying independent isn't just moving your body, it's owning your choices, your likes, your dislikes, your rhythms. And that doesn't require being loud or stubborn. It means remembering that your opinion still matters, especially to yourself. So today, give yourself permission to choose, even something small. The mug you like best, the song you want to hear first, the walk you'd rather take. Every choice you make is a message to your brain. I still run this life now. There's one more pattern we need to explore. It shows up in quiet ways, in the middle of routines that used to feel fulfilling. And it might be more common than you think. You start to feel like a background character in your own life. That's the third sign, and it's sneaky. One day, you're just helping out, or keeping things simple. And the next, you've slipped into a life that's no longer shaped around your passions, your plans, or your purpose. You might still be busy errands, family, chores, but something deeper feels missing. That spark of being needed, of being seen, of knowing that your days carry meaning beyond, keeping things afloat. This isn't about ego, it's about relevance. Humans thrive when we know we matter, when our opinion is asked for, when someone counts on us, when our presence changes the shape of the room. Retirement, aging, even just the natural shift of life responsibilities can dim that sense of impact, if we let it. But here's the thing, you don't have to wait for someone to hand you that role again. You can step forward. Maybe that looks like mentoring someone younger. Maybe it's joining a committee, volunteering at the library, to kids at the local school, or maybe it's simpler calling a friend just to ask how they're really doing. And sharing how you're really doing too. Don't underestimate what your stories, your skills, and your time mean to someone else. You've lived through decades of wisdom. There are people maybe even right next door who would give anything to hear how you handled a tough moment, or what made your marriage work, or how you found courage during grief. Your voice is not background noise. It's music someone needs to hear. And now, let's talk about the fourth sign. It often goes unnoticed because we mistake it for convenience or modern living. It's when technology replaces too much of our human connection. When you start texting more than talking, watching more than sharing, scrolling instead of sitting across from someone, ordering groceries instead of walking down aisles and bumping into familiar faces. These conveniences are useful, no doubt. They make life smoother, easier. But they can also slowly erode the small, everyday chances we have to connect, to chat, to joke, to feel part of something. Independence doesn't just mean doing things alone. It also means choosing when and how to connect with others. And when we rely too much on automation, we start to lose those micro moments of interaction that make us feel alive. So here's a small step you can take. Swap just one digital task for a real-life version. Call instead of texting. Visit instead of emailing. Go inside instead of using the drive-thru. Look the cashier in the eye. Smile at the woman in line. Ask the pharmacist how their day is going. These aren't chores, they're lifelines. Little moments that say, I still belong here, and so do you. And that brings us to the final, perhaps most personal signal. One that touches the quiet corners of your day. The places where memory fades, or confidence shakes, or routines suddenly feel a little more fragile than they used to. The fifth sign isn't something others can always see, but you feel it. It's when daily tasks that once felt automatic now take more thought, more caution, maybe even more courage, whether it's stepping into the shower and pausing for balance, hesitating at the top of stairs, or double-checking the stove even though you just turned it off. These quiet adjustments can start to chip away at your sense of self-reliance. You might brush it off with a joke, or chalk it up to just being careful, but underneath it all, there's a question forming. Am I starting to slip? And that question can do something sneaky. It can make you retreat, avoid outings, decline invitations, say no thanks. When a friend suggests a walk or a trip or something new, but here's what's important too. Understand that voice of hesitation doesn't have to become the loudest one. Recognizing a shift doesn't mean surrendering to it. It means stepping in sooner, not later. Before worry turns into withdrawal, strengthening independence at this stage of life is less about massive changes and more about layering small, steady wins. It starts with listening to your body, yes, but also listening to your instincts. If something feels harder lately, it's not a defeat, it's data. Data you can use to adapt, to grow, to build in new routines that support your freedom, not limit it. That might mean doing balance exercises while brushing your teeth. It might mean learning a few memory-boosting games. It could be scheduling a home safety assessment tour, finally replacing that slippery rug in the hallway. These aren't signs of weakness, they're signals of strength, of someone who's choosing to stay in the game instead of sitting on the sidelines, because independence isn't defined by never needing help. It's defined by knowing when to ask for it, and having the courage to do so. So wherever you are today, whether you feel sharp and steady, or a little unsure, remember this: every decision you make to move, to reach out, to pay attention, is a vote for your own freedom. You're not fragile, you're adapting, and that's a skill people of any age can admire. If this message resonated with you, if you saw a piece of your story in these words, then I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Let us know what helps you stay strong, sharp, and self-sufficient. This community isn't just about learning, it's about lifting each other up. And if you haven't yet, I'd be truly grateful if you clicked that subscribe button, gave this video a like, and shared it with someone you care about. It helps us keep making meaningful content, and it spreads these vital lessons to others who may need them more than they know. Here's to living boldly, aging wisely, and holding on to the freedom that lets you write your own next chapter, one empowered choice at a time.